sadnesses of walking through the old city of Jerusalem is that there is no temple where God's people can go to worship. There is the Dome of the Rock where Muslims worship Allah, but in terms of the physical place where the glory of the one and true God dwelt, that temple is no longer there. Last week we finished chapter 3 of Zechariah thinking about the high priest Joshua, the unknown character labelled as the branch, and the image of contentment with the vine and fig tree. Well, today we change pictures because the vision Zechariah is given is of the temple of God, or more precisely, some of the articles that were part of the temple of God. Zechariah 4 verse 1. Then the angel who talked with me returned and woke me up like someone awakened from sleep. He asked me, "What do you see?" I answered, "I see a solid gold lampstand with a bowl at the top and 7 lamps on it with 7 channels to the lamps. Also there are 2 olive trees by it, one on the right of the bowl and the other on its left." Now, this is not unlike the lampstand that we see in the temple that Solomon built. Exodus 25 verse 31, "Make a lampstand of pure gold. Hammer out its base and shaft and make its flower-like cups, buds and blossoms of one piece with them. 6 branches are to extend from the sides of the lampstand, 3 on one side and 3 on the other. Then make its 7 lamps and set them up on it so that they light the space in front of it." See, the purpose of the lampstand was to provide light for the priests when they worked in the holy place within the temple of God. Zechariah 4 verse 4, "I asked the angel who talked with me, 'What are these, my Lord?' He answered, 'Do you not know what these are?' 'No, my Lord,' I replied." Now, I presume that Zechariah was well aware of the purpose of the lampstand, and certainly the significance that it was for the temple of God. However, what was unknown is why there were 2 olive trees on either side of the lampstand. Now, I mentioned on Sunday that it's helpful in Zechariah to read and reread each section slowly and to take time to think about the vision that Zechariah is given. Well, here he sees a lampstand with 7 lamps with a bowl on top and 7 channels, I presume, running from the bowl to the lamps. And so logically, the 2 olive trees that are either side of the lampstand provide oil for the bowl, which then flows down to provide fuel for the lamps. And so that is its purpose. Now, friends, we'll unpack this further as we move into the rest of the week. However, when it comes to the temple that Solomon built, the temple that was destroyed when God's people were taken into exile, does it sadden you that there is no longer a temple in Jerusalem? You know, as a tourist, it would have been wonderful to walk up to the temple that was rebuilt after the exile in Babylon, let alone the temple that Solomon himself built. However, as Christians, we need to work through how the life, death and resurrection of Jesus impacts our understanding of the temple today. And so with that in mind, why don't you take a minute to consider whether you think that the temple of God is important for Christians today, and in particular, the difference that Jesus makes to how you view the temple. And then spend another minute in prayer and ask God to help you understand what Jesus means when he refers to his own body, and we read this in John's Gospel, as the temple.